Hi, so I'm Philip Rothman, and I'm here at the 2019 NAMM show with some of the Make Music team, and I've got, well, I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Mark Adler. I'm Director of Production for MakeMusic.
I'm John Tschiggfrie. I am a product manager of audio and notation at MakeMusic.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate you taking a few moments of your time to meet with me. I know it's a very busy time, and a lot of people are at NAMM. Before we get into some of the recent developments about Finale, maybe you could just tell us briefly why you come to NAMM and why it's important for you.
Well, it's where the entire industry gathers. I get to every year come in particular talk with a lot of the teams that do music production work in LA. A lot of them come to NAMM. We get to talk about Finale, what's working well for them, what isn't working well for them. Certainly, it's an opportunity to look at a lot of the startups, a lot of the new tech, that's coming out. There's always a few surprising startup companies that are doing some really interesting things with notation.
Yeah, and it changes. You have, some of the developers, some of the companies are the same from year to year, but then there are some. I'm going to meet someone later tonight who said that they've been coming to NAMM for 10 years, and this is the first time that they have a booth, and they said it's going to be the best NAMM ever. So,
Nice.
it's exciting for them. Cool. Um, so, uh, look, let's talk about Finale 26 for a little bit.
Mhm.
How has it been received in the field? What have you been hearing?
Uh, Nothing but great things.
Yeah.
uh, we've been really focusing more in version 26 on improving the speed and output of people's workflow. And I think that's been borne out in what we've heard from the field since release, which is honestly to say it's been relatively quiet, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything much about new defects or any problems with the type of workflow improvements we've implemented, particularly with the new articulation placement
Yeah.
features. Um, so as far as we're aware, people are loving it.
Yeah. That's good. No, I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and I worked on a major project with a big ballet company, and it was 2 acts, full orchestra, and I have to say that it was as smooth as any version of Finale that I've ever used. Even you realize those incremental improvements that you make, that you have to do something like selecting a bar over and over. The fact that you can, it's practically instantly responsive now, and that's really nice to see because it does make the overall experience that much better. And I appreciate Mark, you and CJ sharing that script to
Yeah.
take full advantage of the articulations feature, and I'll be sure to link to that in the notes on the blog. It's a feature that can split those pre-composed articulations
Yep.
into separate articulations to take advantage of the new stacking feature, which was probably the major engraving improvement well, along with the rest of the articulation improvements in 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you absolutely hit on it though. Finale absolutely is the core strength is in the notation output that you get.
Yeah.
But what we can really focus on and what we've chosen to focus on is just making it so you have a greater amount of throughput
Okay.
and get your work done faster.
Got it. Yeah. Is there anything in 26 that maybe has fallen under the radar, or anything in terms of the way that you have been developing Finale that you'd like viewers and readers to know about?
Yeah, so a couple things. I've already kind of alluded to how we're focusing on workflow, but also the daily procedures that our development team uses. They're kind of the unsung heroes of the Finale.
Right.
As a user, you see simply the product that we ship.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily know how that product actually came to market.
Right.
And one of the things we've been focusing on is our automated procedures for testing which is catching a lot more things before it would ever show up in the real world.
Okay. Right.
And so that's led to a much more stable finale. We've also done a lot more UI testing, and that's helped us with the performance improvements on the Mac platform as well.
Okay. And so to be clear, that is not user data that's being sent. That's that's an internal process that you're using to automate the testing and the QC.
Right,
Okay.
right. It's a daily process that has just become part of the team's everyday workflow.
Right.
Which isn't to say we don't listen to user data.
No,
as well.
well, no, but it's important for people to know that that's something that has happened. It's not you're not solely relying upon people to just report things. Like you're proactively going after this type of thing.
And that's tapping into like the reason that computing exists. You can rely on the machine to do the things that would take so much longer manually.
Is that something that we can continue to see more of?
Oh, absolutely. We've actually got a guy on the team who that is his sole job is adding to that automation.
Right. Okay, that's great. Now, in terms of like MakeMusic's other products, I alluded to it a bit earlier. Whether it's smart music or something else, you're talking about the team that's behind Finale. Is there anything that you do have some, to use that buzzword, synergy with other things that they're learning from you or you're learning from them?
Yeah, I can speak to. So we've over the last few years been working on our what we call new smart music, which is taking our successful smart music software and having a web version of it so that you can use it on basically any device.
Right. Okay.
Part of that, of course, is representing notation on the web platform. So we've definitely learned things from Finale. We've learned things from the older version of Smart Music Classic, which basically had the notation engine in a browser type window.
Right.
And then we've also been relying on a technology called Music Architect, which Dominique has been working on over the years, and figuring out the best way. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're asking.
No, it's helpful to know.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to speak more to that than I can, but not really.
Well, it's interesting. Well, it's interesting for people to know because they may only know about one side of things. If they're using Finale, pretty much. But then if there's other things that are going on that help your development, and it's the same with the other companies too. And each one is structured differently. Or at least talking about your major competitors, colleagues in the industry with. Dorico being part of Steinberg and then being part of Yamaha, a big company with lots of different things going on. We have, Abbott, of course, with Sibelius and other things. So it's interesting to hear, how that happens on your end.
Well, and so the team that I manage, it's we develop all the repertoire for smart music.
Okay.
And so basically we have a team of editors that work on these files, getting them into smart music, but we also help on the Finale side. So whether it's real world testing of new versions, we certainly take that on.
Because the music is actually, it's basically you're working with music that is eventually going to publication. It's going to be, the smart music repertoire is something that is actually has to be correct. It's going to be used. Yeah. Okay.
And it's just an opportunity to when we get to beta versions of Finale to actually having real people use it. And, the automated testing is wonderful, but we still do have real people actually testing the stuff.
Real musicians.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So part of what my team also does is develop the support files that go into Finale.
Okay.
So whether it was the improvements to the chord suffix library, that was my team. We took on when we reviewed the default settings,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was for articulations or expressions.
Okay.
So so we do, the teams do kind of cover both products.
Right.
Also, essentially doubling the number of templates that we ship with to get people up really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So, I was alluding to some of the other products out there. So, from your perspective, I'm curious. Like, what's the state? What do you see of the state of the field? How do you see it as it is right now? What are some of the exciting things that you're seeing in the broader broader industry? I guess I would ask you, particularly with Music XML, which is an open standard, but it is owned by MakeMusic. A lot of people probably don't realize that. Michael Good is his title is the Vice President of Music XML Technologies.
That sounds right.
That sounds close enough. Sorry, Michael, if it's not exactly right. But it is now under the auspices of the W3C group, which will be meeting tomorrow. And we'll have full coverage of that as well, a video of that as well. So it's very interesting. Like it's a competitive field, but it's also collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
So
which mirrors the music world in general.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So to my question, like, is there anything particular that you've seen? And I'm not necessarily asking about a particular product, but just in terms of like how the field is developing, how users are using your software. I'm just curious.
I think it's interesting to look at necessarily how people use the tools that are out there.
Okay.
Because it is more like they're putting together a toolbox with pieces that individually do things they need to get out, rather than looking for, say, a single solution that's going to do their entire workload.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly Finale fits into that for whatever purposes people need sheet music, notated sheet music for.
Mm-hmm.
And Music XML is kind of the great common denominator for all these things. It's as an interchange format, it's enabling people to do more, I think, than they've ever been able to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. That was very interesting to me to hear that, and it is my experience as well. Using pretty much all these products in some way, shape, or form. Another thing, No Performer, I think that was a big development this past year. Certainly, the fact that Arno Wallander has now brought full support for Dorico and Finale without the convoluted Finale scripts that he did. He said it was a debacle. That was his words, and I was just like, look, man, it was impressive that you were able to even do that, but that to be able to play Finale, and you have, Finale of course has other plugins, audio plugins that you can use with it, but the No Performer is special. It's unique.
It is the realistic quality that you can get out of it so easily is really impressive.
Yeah,
and we've been paying attention to that. One of the fixes we shipped in 26 was actually specifically for No Performer.
That was the real it was the latency, no latency on input.
On node entry.
On node entry, right? Yep. So speaking of features, tell us all the features that you're planning. No, anything that you think. The little, it's in the vault. No, but to the extent that you'd like to share anything that's coming up, or that you can say, please. I know that it used to be like a real, very closely guarded secret, and you guys have been very transparent and open about letting people know even before the release, which I think is really great. So
I think that speaks to our focus on understanding what it is people want to get done. Going back to this idea of you have this toolbox for your various music needs. We're trying to figure out actively, and I think we're getting closer, what is Finale's unique position in that toolbox? What is the unique value that we bring to people in a musical sense?
Yeah.
Right. I think you can expect a lot more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
So with 26, where we were focusing on those major areas of workflow improvements, whether it was articulation, placement, or the Mac performance, or a number of other smaller things we did, we'll continue to iterate on those same areas. So I think you can look for a few point releases, which of course are free for people who have already upgraded to 26. And then going forward into the further future, I think we can again look forward to that focus on improving speed and efficiency of output.
Great. Well, Mark, Jonathan, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to talk with me today as the sun has set over Southern California, and we'll look forward to seeing what's next with the finale and Make Music. And have a great rest of the NAMM show.
All right.
You too.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.